Hey everybody, this is Magnolia 26 coming to you. Hi. I said I would get back to you when my D3 came, and it did. I haven't tried it yet, but I will. I was checking out some facts on D3 because since I've moved to Colorado, there have been 2, maybe 3 times that I've gone to the doctor and I've been told that I have a vitamin D deficiency. Now, in the past, they often thought that vitamin D deficiency in people with darker skin had something to do with the fact that our vitamin D generally comes from the sun, and that melanin, which is the chemical in our skin that gives us this dark hue, so the darker you are, the more melanin you have, that it blocked the vitamin C that your body could absorb, because most mammals get everything they need from the sun. But new research has found that there are not vitamin D deficiencies in India, China, Malaysia, although those are places with a lot of sun. So they're questioning some of it. But Africans generally tend to have vitamin D deficiency, and then I suppose African Americans too, which I have a good chunk of. So, in my reading on vitamin D, I found a couple things that were interesting to me. One was that there seems to be some kind of relationship in studies between vitamin D and parathyroid glands. And if you see my eyes wandering, it's because I'm looking at this wiki page again that sent me to a few other web pages. But I find it kind of interesting that the parathyroid can be involved in some vitamin D deficiency related conditions, considering that I have no parathyroid glands and no thyroid glands. The other thing I read about vitamin D that I didn't know about was that in addition to being important in your ability to take up calcium, which is why when you have calcium supplements, they always have a D3 added, usually not more than 1,000 IUs, but there's always D3 because you need D3. D3 goes into your body inert, basically, and then it's what do they call it? Inactive. It's inactive. But then it gets synthesized in your liver and your kidney, and it becomes, is it calcitrol, or becomes another substance. But that substance is actually a hormone, and that's what's interesting. Because the new information I've read said that, especially because of the fact that it's inactive and that it is activated and synthesized in your body in one place, but becomes active in another, that they consider it almost a hormone, which I find fascinating. So anyway, that's the thing about vitamin D. And while I'm doing this, I'm taking this little plastic off the cap, I will say that one article that I found, and I'll try to put the link down here somewhere. I don't know if it's going by or not. One article was talking about the possible link between vitamin D and depression, which is what I want to talk about. I've been thinking about coming on and talking about depression since I've been diagnosed with clinical depression. I was diagnosed in my early 20s when I went to college, but I'm pretty sure that I always had it. And it's related to a few other things, multiple PTSD, which I won't get into right now. My depression has been ongoing. And the funny thing is that when I had my psych eval, there are 2 markings on it. 1 fluid ounce, 2 fluid ounces, And then over here it's marked in tablespoons and milliliters. I'm just going to take the full dose. This flavor, I'll get back to that story in a second. This flavor is natural berry flavor, even though it looks orange. Yummy. Ooh, that's a good one. What's that taste like? It tastes like a candy from when we were kids. If I can figure it out, I'll let you know. Back to depression. So I was diagnosed when I was very young. And during my psych eval, my therapist wrote in my letter, moderate to severe depression in remission. And I was like, in remission? Because I think of myself when I'm like not depressed, it's just fine. I'm either like fine or I'm depressed. And I found it interesting that really, in terms of like a diagnosis, I'm just always depressed. I mean, that's how the medical community sees it and the psychological community. You are depressed, you have depression, you have clinical depression. And when you're not depressed, it's in remission. And when it's not in remission, you're depressed. I don't know how I feel about that. And I'm just like normally a depressed person. And when I'm happy, I'm in remission, which seems strange. But anyway, the article that I read makes a link. There have been some studies, mostly in Norway, between vitamin D and depression. And they found a link. Now, some researchers and scientists refute those studies, interestingly enough, because it just happened to be a study done on overweight individuals. And all of those overweight individuals were taking D3, extra D3 plus calcium. So now they think that it could be the D3 and the calcium together, or it could just be the D3. But either way, there was some evidence that taking the supplement might help in depression. And since it was a trial of overweight people, I fall into that category. I'm wondering if I haven't really been my worst enemy about not always being great about my calcium supplements. I mean, it's been like 28 years. I'm supposed to be taking them every day. And like I said in my other video, sometimes I'm good about it, sometimes I'm not. I'm a lot better now that I'm older, and my bones in my neck are crumbling, and I've had 3 spinal surgeries from a little whiplash injury at 19, because now I'm afraid. And as I said in another video, I had a bone density in preparation for my surgery, and I do not have osteoporosis, but I have osteopenia, which is like the baby version of osteoporosis that leads to osteoporosis, and they said it's very mild, and I want to keep it that way. But, when I was younger, when you know how you are when you're younger, you don't think you're ever going to be 49 or 50 or 60 or whatever. And calcium supplements, schmupplement, you can't, I took those Tums, I got sick of them, and every couple of years, I would be really good for 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, and then I'd be off 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, and that's how it's been through my life. I'm a little bit better, but even this week, I'm thinking about the days I missed, so it really has to become more of a routine. And I'm really interested, to be honest, to see if once it does become really routine and I'm not taking the need for this stuff for granted anymore, if it might stabilize my depression. I don't know. It could help. Although I really haven't that many problems with it lately. Well, maybe that's true, maybe that's not. But the thing about depression, when you have depression, is that you generally don't want to tell people you have depression. When you tell people you have depression, sometimes it feels like they think you're weak, or maybe even that you're not competent. I never want people that I work with to know I have clinical depression. mostly because I just wouldn't want them to think about me being incompetent or questioning my competency. And ironically, as I learned from another YouTuber recently, just earlier today, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So it is absolutely something to be thinking of right now. It was Leslie's Locker. That's who I was watching earlier today, and she pointed out that it is Mental Health Awareness Month, and she said she was also going to make a video about depression, which is great because I thought I would do this morning, and then I saw her video, and I thought, good, I can watch her video when she's done and compare notes. But the feeling of depression is one that I think everyone who suffers from it knows that the struggle is to try to mentally separate yourself from the feelings that you're having. And so I try to think of those feelings as literally my body. Like, my emotions are not real when I'm depressed. I think of it as my body. My body is doing this. It's a physical thing. It's a hormonal thing. It's a chemical thing. And intellectually, I try to separate myself from that and kind of stand outside of it and see my body doing what it's doing. And if I can keep that intellectual distance from depression, then I can keep it from taking me down into the deepest despair. It's when I'm not able to escape and I somehow become one with that depression, and I feel that depression in my soul, and it feels spiritual, not physical. It feels emotional and spiritual. That's when it can just suck you under. And that's a terrible feeling. Terrible feeling, as people who suffer from depression know. So, I'm trying to be better about my vitamins. I'm practicing. I am definitely going to read more about vitamin D3. This Welless vitamin D was super yummy. It was the yummiest of their stuff, maybe even yummier than the creamsicle calcium. So that will definitely get me through my liquid phase. I am officially, today is May 2nd, I'm 12 days out. Oh my gosh, just my stomach turns saying that I am 12 days out from my surgery. My pre-op appointment is April 6th with Dr. Schoen in the University of Colorado Hospital Bariatric Weight Loss Clinic in Aurora. And I'll let you know how it goes if I don't talk to you before then. Thanks.